Hi guys and welcome to Desi Dutch. Today we are in quarantine day 6 and we're continuing our journey through Europe. So today I have a friend of mine, Danial Kodvavi from Germany. The city I do not know. So Kodvavi will tell you
I live
himself.
in Bochum. Bochum.
Bochum. The city is Bochum. So let's see how it's going down in Bochum with Daniel Kodvavi. Kodvavi, welcome to Desi Dutch.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. Yeah, but I mean, it's fascinating what's happening. That I didn't expect. Because this is a place that revels in almost going out all the time to, and not going out as in partying, but going out as in going for a jog and cycling all the time. And today I went for a bike ride,
Yeah.
an hour-long bike ride. I was really surprised because the sun was out, the weather was lovely, it was nice and warm, and I went to uh, the lake that's close to my place, and it was. I mean, there were people there, of course, but there were way fewer people than you would think
Com- yeah.
otherwise.
But it's funny, right? Same way in Pakistan. Pakistan officially is in lockdown as of today, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you know how us Pakistanis are, right? So we also revel in going out. Like for us, it's just you have to go out. Like we are a very social
It's a
culture.
normal state of being for us.
Yeah, so it is very difficult for us to stay in lockdown. At least here, I don't
Yeah.
know how it's in your city in Germany, but in Europe, in Holland per se, it's pretty easy. Like I talk to my colleagues, they're all like, "Oh, we're happy staying at home. We don't
Yeah, I
mind."
mean,
Individual.
yeah.
So they,
Germans tend to be introverted anyway a little, so they spend a lot of time at home, except when they're either going out to party, and especially during weekdays. If someone is working, they wouldn't go out on the weekdays. So it's
yeah,
not really strange for them. So they're comfortable with this, and that's also something I struggled with in the beginning when I came here, because they are not as, because for us it's like once you get home from work, you have dinner, and then you go out, have a cup of tea with your friends.
exactly, right. That's so
We don't
different.
understand this concept, and that's why I hang out with a lot of Turkish and Arab people here, because it's easier making these plans with them and just being
Yeah,
like, bro, I'm coming
spontaneity. Yeah,
over.
spontaneity, I think, is more
Yes.
of an Asian thing
Yeah.
because it's for
Yeah.
them, it's very difficult. My colleague,
Very
I
difficult.
really want to talk to him, and I'm like, you know what? Hey, Vimian, what are you doing today? Want to go out for a drink or something after work? And he's like, no, man, I cannot. How about you tell me? Let me check my agenda. Maybe 3 weeks from now, I'll be free. And I'm like,
Exactly.
I'm like, is that a joke, man? I'm in the mood right now to have a drink with you. I'm not gonna wait
Exactly.
3 weeks to wait for a drink with you, right? It
Really
doesn't make
strange.
sense. But they're
Yeah.
like, no, we just don't go out, and it's not like they're busy. It's just it's their
Yeah,
culture.
yeah, yeah. They're just like, it's not in my schedule, it's not planned in my head. I need a week to prepare. It's
Yeah,
like 5 to 6 working days. I don't know what I'll be doing in 5 to 6 working
yeah,
days.
that's us Pakistanis. Right? We don't care.
Yeah,
We're very
literally.
spontaneous people, and they're just like
Yeah,
no, Monday to Thursday, staying at home, watching Netflix, eating food, spending time with family, or
exactly.
but no plans. They have a very on and off mentality, right? Monday to
Yeah.
Friday work, and then Friday to Sunday party. So there is no
Yeah,
balance
I know.
for them. It's just like
No,
all in or
it's
nothing.
yeah. It's nice that you point this out, because apparently I was speaking to this guy who's also Pakistani, but he's really into these weird, specific kind of histories of places. So we were speaking about this, and he said that the reason this is so is that before Christianity there was paganism in this region, in
Yeah,
this part of the world, and with these pagans they had a very structured life. So it's like they worked a lot for a long period of time, and then they would have these times when they would completely let loose.
yeah.
Like there would be parties that wouldn't stop for days, and it's really fascinating because the party ethic has almost disappeared from their lives, but the work ethic remains.
Yeah, it is weird, right? It's just that they're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Monday to Friday, like machines. That's the way they make
yeah,
jokes about Germans being machines, right?
yeah,
They keep working
precisely.
and they keep working.
Yeah.
And the Dutch people are the same as well. Like they just keep working
Mhm.
Monday to Thursday, Monday to Friday, a lot of work. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, just letting loose, party
Yeah.
like there's no tomorrow. My colleagues are like at 4 a.m. They're still out, and I'm like, what are you doing out till 4 a.m.? They're like, it's Saturday. I'm like, that's not a reason that it's Saturday. What are you
Yeah, I
doing out
mean,
at 4 a.m.? What do
I can't complain about that, because my weekends turn out like that sometimes. 2 weekends ago, I came home at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
So
but the difference is what you want to do, right? We've been there. We were in Turkey, right, for some
yeah,
time, and in Turkey, I would be out from my dorm like for till 6 a.m., 7 a.m. But we had something to do. Either we're joking
yeah,
around,
yeah. There has to be something to
yeah,
do.
not just
Yeah.
outside for the sake of outside. It's
No, no,
Saturday. I
no.
can't go home. I need to be in this bar. That's the feeling I get
Yeah,
from
because no,
Europeans.
it makes sense because they're like, well, if they schedule this part for fun, because for us, fun has to be spontaneous. It's not fun if it's not spontaneous.
Yeah,
For
exactly.
them,
That's
they
very well
schedule
put.
fun time, and they must spend that time doing something. So here in Germany, for example, I mean, I hanging out with Germans is also very difficult for me because when they go out, it's not something. It's yeah, they go to clubs and so on, but when they hang out, they just like have a beer and they'll just keep having beers for 12 hours straight and having these conversations that I can't partake in. Very serious conversations.
Yeah, that's what they call
Because
hanging out.
yeah,
Unwinding,
exactly.
talking.
I mean, of course, I like my share of serious conversation, but for me, I prefer being a jackass when I'm with friends. It's like joking around, mocking each other, whatever. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, there should be
I
time for
can't
that.
talk about. Yeah, I
There
can't
should.
talk about the political structure and the education system on my fun time. It's not. Yeah, no,
No, but there
doesn't
should be a
work for
time
me.
and place for everything. Like I believe that, yeah, you should have your
Exactly.
fair share of serious conversations, but you also should have a lot of fun. And we are from a
Yeah,
culture where dissing is completely normal. So it's like it's not fun
yeah.
if
And
it's not
dissing,
serious.
I've had to control my dissing here.
Really?
People get offended, and you know me. I don't have an off button, and I don't have a filter. They're
Oh
just
yeah.
all out there.
I've been really controlling myself as well. I told my colleagues that I'm giving you the free pass. You can piss me off as much as you want. Once you think you've crossed the line, then I'm gonna
Yeah,
start.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
I'm gonna start.
No,
Before
but
that, I'm not even gonna
yeah,
start.
but at work I'm like somewhat professional, so it's like a very serious side of me comes out with the occasional joke here and there. But yeah, I know how to control it professionally, but when I'm with quote unquote friends, I don't give a fuck.
No, it's very difficult for me, to be honest, to make that segregation. Since Pakistan time, here in Holland as well, I always start out as this philosophical, serious guy who just talks about problems or talks about solutions or is really serious all the time. And then 2 months go on, 3 months go on, people get comfortable with me, and I just let loose for the
Yeah.
jackass that
No,
I am.
I start off with my bullshit. So a lot of people who just started hanging out with me or meet me with friends of friends, I'd be doing my usual bullshit, and then they ask, "What are you studying?" Then I'm like, "I'm studying philosophy," and they're like, "Are you fucking with me?" Because the first thing is, of course, I'm South Asian, so I have to be an engineer.
Yeah, yeah.
I am the only Pakistani at my university who's not studying engineering.
Who's not studying it?
Exactly, the only one. Yeah, so
I don't
it's
know, but
quite absurd.
philosophy is very niche. To be honest, I'm really jealous. Like, if I would have an opportunity to study philosophy, I would have taken that
I mean,
chance.
you're
You
in the
know?
Netherlands now.
Yeah,
You can
but
just
like,
in a
I,
few years' time, just hop over the border. Education is expensive there, but hop on over the border. It's really cheap here.
yeah,
So
but it's not about the money. It's about us families, right? Our South Asian families, right? It's a bit difficult to
I mean,
convince them. I take my courses online. I've taken like I think 5 philosophy courses on Coursera, and that's where I get my daily dose of philosophy.
yeah, but for me, philosophy. I'm okay. I'll let you in on a real secret. It's not something completely impulsive. I'm also doing my certification on finance simultaneously.
Yeah.
So this is like something that works into it.
Yeah. You told me you're working with ethics, right? So that kind of builds into
Yeah. So
your
I'm
finance.
specializing in market ethics. So
Yeah,
it's sort of like
yeah, that
mixes into
makes
it.
sense. So yeah, like
Nah,
Daniel, let's move into the real part of the
yeah.
conversation, right?
Oh wow. The small talk. The small talk has gone away. Now the serious stuff comes in.
Yeah, so coronavirus. How is it going there? How are you handling
Bro,
quarantine?
I was shitting my pants 2 weeks ago before they gave me home office, because I was like I had to go 2 hours away from my place to work on public transport every day. 2 hours going and 2 hours coming back. And I've stocked up on a lot of canned food. Like I was preparing for a war. And my dad is more stressed out than I am. So he
Yeah,
was adding to the stress. He was like, because I'm alone, and then he thinks because I'm alone, I'm still an idiot.
yeah. Well, that's a
I will
universal
be
thing.
underprepared. now I'm over prepared because I had my stress and then I had my dad's stress. Now I'm just looking at the canned food and it's fucking disgusting.
Canned food is very bad. That's why I didn't go
Yeah,
for
I have to add like a lot of spices to like make it edible or make it too spicy. So I just don't taste the food; it just goes in.
that. So do you are you stocked up on your spices? Because that's very important for us Pakistanis,
Yeah,
right?
of course,
That's
always,
that's that's
bro.
really
I've got like 20 masalas, and I buy a couple every time I go out, so that I, there's no I can survive 2 months without shopping
yeah,
for more masalas.
but Shan is available there, or you have certain
Yeah,
other
of course,
brands.
of course, of
Yeah,
course.
that's
We
nice.
have this nice Indian store in the city, and I was really surprised because this isn't a big city, around 300,000 people, mostly around the university I'm at. That's the
Yeah,
biggest thing in the city, but I'm
yeah,
surprised. Yeah, I can find it.
yeah.
But
But
yeah,
that's
I,
it's
I
so funny.
stocked up on a lot of. How about you? What did you do? Did you stock up on stuff?
No, no, not really, because we didn't go into a lockdown here. They just said grocery shops will be open and pharmaceuticals will be open. There's no fine for you coming out. We just are requesting you to not do it. So people are just
Yeah, it's the
inside.
same in Germany. It's the
Yeah.
same in Germany.
So
So it's
there's
like with one thing added that more than two people are not allowed to hang out outside. So it's like if
that
there's
just
two
happened
people,
today. Today,
yeah,
I just received an update from the news, and that's now they're officially closing down public places where people cannot gather more than 3 or 4 people because some Dutch people are really stupid. They're still going out to beaches and they're still going out to
yeah,
party.
even here,
Yeah,
yeah.
so the government is getting a little bit annoyed. But other than that, everything is open. There was a panic buying for toilet paper, but other than that, every other grocery was available.
Yeah,
So I did
yeah.
not stock up. I just go fresh. And now, same as you, I also have a commute. I have because I live in Eindhoven, but my job is in
Hmm.
Amsterdam.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so I have a 1.5 hour commute every day,
Do you
going and
drive
coming
or
back.
do you take the train?
I take the train. So one and a
Okay.
half hour going, 1.5 hour coming back. So now I
Yeah.
have a lot of time on my hands, right? 3 hours of your day is just too much. So I just
Yeah, I read, I listen to podcasts. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I do that. I used to do that on the train, right? So now at
Yeah.
home, it's a bit more difficult to,
So now you're making them. That's better.
yeah, trying to just pass the time, right? It's day 6.
Yeah,
So I'm really, really,
it's a good
I'm
part. I actually just half an hour ago, another friend of mine, he's Spanish. He texted me, bro, we should start a podcast.
exactly. It's everyone is doing it. And to be honest, everyone is doing it. I had this idea and I've been doing it for a year at least, right? But I've been really
Oh,
lazy with it.
yeah.
I have not many episodes out because I was very lazy with it. But other than that, everyone's getting on this bandwagon. And I suggest you being a philosophy major, even if it's in
No,
finance.
did you read my Facebook status a few weeks ago?
That's why
I
I
really
wanted.
like
That's why I wanted to.
exactly. So it was like the only New Year's resolution that I hope to keep is not to start a podcast. But the quarantine is getting to my head. It's like on Saturday night, so I was like, I couldn't sleep because I had been sleeping throughout the day. So on Saturday, I was like, okay, it was around midnight, and all my friends are in different time zones. And regardless, everyone is up at night, even in Pakistan.
Yeah.
I called like 4 or 5 people, and I went to sleep at 6. I was like talking to people, like updates on their lives, and
This is what
people
you
who I
do.
haven't spoken to in a while. Yeah,
That's what you have to do every day. Every day. I'm not even joking. Every day. My mom, I think I've told everyone in the podcast, my mom calls me 5 times a day. Easy. Right? Asking me how
yeah,
I'm doing, how I'm doing, how I'm doing. And I'm like,
yeah. Because she's bored too. It's
she's bored too.
insane.
She's logged in lockdown. She has nothing to do. And
Yeah,
then all my friends as well, like other our guys, Fras, Sauce people,
yeah,
we have a group and one of us is always free. They call up the group and 3 4 people show up and then we talk for one
yeah,
hour. Then we close it.
yeah,
Then 2 hours later, someone in Australia gets up. Then they call the group and the ones who are here who are not in that much
yeah,
big time difference, they
yeah,
pick up. And that's how the whole day is going because you have nothing to do. I have
yeah.
work. I have work. I work 8 hours, 9 hours.
Exactly.
But after that, even then after that, you don't know what to do. It's just
Bro,
you.
if I didn't have work, I would go insane by now. It's been 1 week. It hasn't been that long, but I would literally go insane. I would be
I'm shocked. It's only been 1 week. I'm running right, so I run like
exactly. It feels like it's been a couple of months since I've been to work.
oh my god, it's been like I've been running for like I just run 4 to 5 times a week. Okay, so
Yeah,
last week I ran 4 times. This week was my first day, Monday, so it was gonna be my first run. So I'm make counting my runs on lockdown, right? Lockdown run 1, lockdown run 2, and today I
yeah,
just looked and I said it's lockdown run 5. Is it
yeah,
5? Is it only been just
yeah,
1 week?
yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
feel like 1 week at all.
Yeah, exactly. I went on lockdown on Wednesday, and I'm like, I miss my office. I miss my colleagues. I miss my friends.
Well, it's how are you going about then without work? What else are you doing? Because I feel like you're living alone, right?
Yeah, I'm completely alone. I just live in a small studio apartment on my own.
And so, how are you handling it? Like
So
midnight
I mean,
calls to
I don't.
friends?
I wake up at like 7:30, start work at 8:30,
Yeah,
get done by 4:35. Then I rest for a bit. Usually, yeah, like today I just went out for a 1 hour long bike ride.
yeah.
Yeah, because that's important because I feel like getting some fresh, and because the weather was really nice, it was not nice and sunny out. So I went for a bike ride, came back, had some dinner, and we were doing this tonight. Otherwise, I would have called some friends or something, and then by 10 I watch something and then I pass out by midnight because
Yeah,
I'm
that's what you can do, right? That's all you can
yeah,
do.
yeah, that's all I can do. I mean, but it's nice that everyone is like, okay, yeah, we'll pick up your calls, we just talk, otherwise our generation is so fucking awkward about with phone calls. You're like, bro, no phone call this time.
Just kept
I
text.
hate texting. I
Yeah,
hate texting.
I am a big
I
fan of
can't
voice
keep a
notes.
conversation up.
I am a
What?
big fan of voice notes. I think the biggest invention of this decade, or last decade actually, for
Yeah,
me, WhatsApp's voice notes. Life
yeah,
made so easy. Life made so easy
yeah.
with voice notes.
Yeah, and you can't capture the essence. When I'm angry and when I'm swearing, you know how I swear in Urdu, and I have to get it right. I have to express that emotion in those specific words,
Yeah, and
and I
texting
can't
is
do it
just
otherwise.
texting is very monotonous to me as well. Like I just
Yeah, yeah.
there is an art in itself of understanding the text words and everything, like the okay with the dot and stuff like that. But I think
That's how you deal with girlfriends. I mean, I can't be bothered about caring with what mood my friends in. Fuck off, man. Fuck off.
so I am assuming you're single and happy, Daniel.
Yeah, yeah. It's complicated, man. Life is fucking complicated.
so
Yeah,
what is Germany doing right now? So quarantine is gone on, but it's the same as Holland, right? There's no
yeah,
official
yeah.
lockdown. It's just a request to the people. You're saying some people are obviously abiding to it, but your city is
Most
really
people I feel are abiding. There are a few people out, but I was surprised at how few people were out because
yeah,
Germans tend to follow rules. I didn't think it would be a problem once the government announced it. Um, like I went out into the city on Saturday. The malls were closed. Most of the shops were closed. The grocery stores were open. Pharmacies were open. Some retail outlet, but malls were closed. A couple of retail outlets for electronics were open. But I was really surprised at how
yeah.
desolate the city looked.
And how are they like managing the grocery stores? They're they taking some precautions? Because I was here at this Moroccan store, and I entered the store and they asked me to show my hands, and they splashed hand sanitizer on my hands, and they said
Yeah,
only now you can do your shopping because you touch a lot of produce, right? It was
yeah,
a Moroccan
yeah.
store; it was all natural produce,
Yeah.
so you touch a lot of stuff, and they didn't want the
Mhm,
bacteria to get. And Yumbo, which is a very big chain, they
mhm.
put a glass in front of the counter, the counter, and the people at the counter who are doing your checkout, they're all wearing gloves. So it's
Yeah,
wonderful how serious they're taking this. How is
yeah.
it going in Germany? Are they
Yeah, on Saturday they weren't taking as many precautions, but I mean, no one was giving me hand sanitizer when I walked to the store, and the cashiers weren't wearing masks or gloves, but they had a bottle of sanitizer on their side. So I'm thinking they were disinfected, but maybe it's gotten stronger today.
yeah,
Now
but
that it has been
what do you
officially
think about
announced.
all of this? Like, what do you think of all of this? You think the precautions being taken are good enough, or over, I think, overkill, or maybe
No, they're not
underestimating?
overkill because there's this epidemiologist. I forgot his first name, Pauci or Pauci. He's in the Trump administration. He's like one of the best experts here. So he said that the only way you can prevent the spread of this virus is when it seems like you are overreacting. So overkill is important.
Yeah, like it's the same saying as that we would like to be overstating something and be wrong rather than
Yeah,
understating something and then picking up dead bodies, right?
because because if you don't, you go down Italy's path, and
Yeah.
it's terrifying. It's so tragic what's happening there. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, but why just Italy, right? Italy literally shares a border with the whole of Europe, but the spillover from Italy is not that strong. Is it due to Italy having the oldest population in Europe, or what?
No,
Like
Germany has the oldest population.
no. Italy has the oldest population in Europe. That's a stat.
Really?
Yes, the oldest
Then
population of
Germany,
demographic.
I don't know, because there's a very weird old bulge that there are more old people than young people, substantially more old people than young people in Germany.
Yeah,
No, it's not just old people. I feel in Italy, I feel, because Italians, they don't give a fuck. If you've ever met Italian, they're chill, they're
they're
relaxed,
like
and that,
us, right? They're
yeah,
like us.
exactly. So that's part of their culture. So and when Italy got infected, when the pandemic started spreading, the global community wasn't taking it that seriously,
Yes,
and I feel that has a part to play. So and even during the lockdown, during the early stages of the lockdown, when the government said you should go home, people went on vacation, people went going
it
out.
was really stupid. Like I remember, people came back from Italy. Dutch people came back from Italy, from work trips, right? And the
Yeah,
office said you're not allowed to come into the office. You're on paid
mm,
leave. Stay at home. And they said,
yeah,
"Oh, paid leave! Yay, we're gonna go out!" And they just went abroad. These people were asked to stay
exactly,
in quarantine, and they just
exactly,
went abroad. It's just stupid, like
exactly.
how unserious people were about this.
And also I feel it's because, at least from where we come from, we realize that these diseases are very dangerous. For example, dengue virus, that's a bad thing, that's really dangerous in Pakistan. So we see how terrible these things can be, so we have this frame of mind where we can contextualize the danger. These people don't, because they've always had good healthcare facilities. These problems are not that pervasive. So I feel that also plays into it, that they
Oh,
don't have this. Yeah.
that's a nice opinion. That's a nice way to look at it. But then, if you think that way about dengue, why do you think people in Pakistan are not taking this seriously? Because you still have,
Because
uh,
people in
uh,
Pakistan don't even take dengue seriously. I do, you do, but people in Pakistan don't.
no, but like you have educated people. Like you have, you're having
No,
defense ki
I
parties.
was
You're having shadia. You're having marriages.
yeah,
You have
exactly.
festivals.
No,
But these are all,
today, I was speaking to my dad, and he told me that, of course, um, Karachi is on lockdown, and for example, in defense, all the mosques have been sealed.
yes,
And so he was talking about his friend in Thoraji, which is like a upper middle class to elite neighborhood,
and very
uh,
dense, very dense.
very densely populated, and he was like, they all went to pray. The mosques weren't even closed, and his friend reported that there were more people than usual because no one is going to work.
So everyone is coming to the mosque, right?
Exactly,
And it's
because they're
such,
bored at home, so might as well go to the mosque and meet a bunch of people.
it's just weird. Like it's such an iffy subject to even talk about shutting down mosques and people go crazy. But even Saudi Arabia shut down their mosques. They're like, hey, it's something serious,
I
right?
mean, there's precedents even in religious history. So I mean, what's the alternative? That you die, that you and the worst part is that these people will go to mosques, and then they will go home, infect their parents, infect their wives, infect their kids. I mean, it's murder on some level, and it's terrifying.
And it's not you. It's not you. You want to go kill
Exactly,
yourself.
exactly,
You think you're
exactly.
going to manage it, but it's not you. It's
Yeah,
people around you. That's what you need to care about, right?
if it was you or we live alone, it doesn't matter. I mean, if we die, we die. But of course, we take precaution. But if we were in that mindset, I mean, I don't know. And in Pakistan, there's also this tendency that they make everything out to be some sort of conspiracy,
Yeah.
or this is a
So you
conspiracy
you're
by the,
you're talking about the conspiracy against Islam, aren't you?
yeah, conspiracy, the big conspiracy against Islam.
Yeah, this
So
is the
yeah, I
West's
don't know.
propaganda from stopping us from going to mosques and shaking each other's hands because that's all said by
You
Islam
see
that you
that
need
in
to.
Pakistan, like the issue with the polio vaccine in Pakistan.
No, I have no idea about the
Oh,
polio.
so the thing is, of course, there are these health workers that go into all of these areas, far-flung areas of the country, where they administer polio drops to kids to prevent them from getting polio. And I think I don't know when this happened, but a few years ago, the religious clerics there, they just started talking about how this um, polio vaccine has some sort of uh, spreads infertility somehow in people, so they want to limit the number, because the infidels and the kafirs want to limit the number of Muslim children being born. And so Pakistan is one of the very few countries where polio is re-emerging, and like 50 or 60 polio workers have been killed.
Yeah, because of this
Yeah,
really
they've been shot
ex-
dead.
extremist point of view. But it's funny you're
Exactly.
talking about Pakistan, but vaccinations even in the US, the countries as big as
Yeah,
US.
that's worse. That's worse. That's
You know,
just like
that's
vaccinations cause autism, and the scientists are like, no, that's not how autism works. It's
so yeah.
genetic.
Yeah, but I think you should give like people uneducated people in Pakistan a benefit of doubt because these are relatively more educated people in the bigger
Exactly,
cities.
exactly. I do,
Yeah,
but it's the same thing. Yeah. Um, because we were talking about Pakistan. Yeah, I mean everything is a conspiracy. So
yeah, with
we
Pakistan
need
like
to get out of this mindset somehow. I don't see how, but
uh,
it's a mess. And here
it,
it's something similar is happening.
here
So
in
I was
Germany.
talking, yeah, I was talking to this Swiss girl I know. She studies at ETH Zurich. So
Yeah,
elite university. She's
elite
like
university.
filthy fucking rich, even from the Swiss high class sort of.
Yeah.
And she was of this opinion, that this is the Chinese conspiracy and to bring Europe to its knees.
It's
And
just
I mean, if you hear that and then you just look at the fact, you're like, there might be some truth to this. But then it's like the Chinese systematically stopped it.
yeah,
The Europeans have been so reluctant and so slow.
exactly. But the Chinese use authoritarian methods to stop it, right? That's something that
Yeah,
they
yeah, and
that
the debate here with my German friends has not been about if we should do it. It's been about how we should do it. Oh no, the Chinese version of authoritarianism that, or the Italian version of the later lockdown is bad because people can't go for a jog or like they're trapped in their homes. But that's the fucking point.
yeah, it's very difficult to limit your rights and your freedom in this West world, right? It's very
Yeah,
difficult to convince people to go for lockdown. I
yeah.
think the way Germany and Netherlands are handling it, it's much better than the way maybe Pakistan or Italy is handling it because they're taking it very slowly, right? Like last
Mhm.
week, it was like, okay, we urge you to work from home, and we're going to pay you
Yeah.
tax breaks. We're going to give you all the benefits, financial benefits you need,
Mhm.
but tell your employees to work from home. This week, they said
Mhm.
public places are going to be closed. I have a really strong feeling next week they're going to say complete lockdown, right? But
Mhm.
people are being eased into it, and I think that's just a method of crowd control, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Italy and Spain and maybe Pakistan is just like one day you're like everything is fine, the next day you're like lockdown. And today in Pakistan there was a report by Geo News that said 450 people were thrown into jail or fined because they were outside
Yeah.
while in a lockdown.
And you know what the most fucked up thing about that?
What?
They're just cramping people in those jails. So there's a lockdown to stop coronavirus, and if you violate that lockdown, you'll get arrested, and then you'll be put inside a small jail cell, holding cell with 50 other people.
Is this
It's
mind blowing how it works?
so stupid.
And not just this. Apparently, I heard from someone else as well, a friend of mine, that uh, because they're relatively like from our standings, right? So they're relatively more well off than the general population of Pakistan, right? So
Mhm.
they're like, no, I have a friend who has some labor work going on at his store, and he sent me a picture of 20 guys drilling and everything in a building working while
Yeah,
there's a complete lockdown and there's no police car in sight. And then you hear news
yeah,
about police putting 400 people into jail. You kind of
yeah,
realize what the police is trying to do, right? They're not really going for the rich.
yeah. And during the lockdown, not all businesses are closed either. Like I had this friend, her friend works at one of the bigger banks in Pakistan. I hope we don't get sued here, but so I won't name the bank. I'm not sure if anyone from there is listening. I mean, but it's not defamation. Their office was fucking open. It's Bank Al Habib. It's one of the biggest banks in Pakistan.
Yeah, no,
And
but banks were allowed by Murad Ali Shah. He
no, no, no.
said,
But then again, it's. I know, of course, you can't shut down banks because that should shut down the economy. However, you can tell people who don't need to be there to stay home.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
But the problem is that a lot of these banks they don't have the infrastructure to support that.
Yeah, definitely. It is
Yeah,
very
because
difficult.
a lot of people they just work on desktops. They don't have laptops. They might not
Yeah,
have.
and not just that, it's also about the mentality of working from home, right? You said it very clearly. It's like I come from a company called ICI back in Pakistan, right? And right now they were planning last week to work from home. So I have a friend of mine who works in the HR department, and he said, you have no idea, I was there 1.5 year ago, and I
Hmm,
was asked talking to them about how they can use their Office 365, how they can use Zoom, and
exactly.
flexible working is so easy. That was my project that I was working on. And he told me that 1 year, 1.5 year ago, you initiated that thing, and now we're about to go into lockdown. We had an emergency board of directors meeting so we can understand how we can work from home. These guys didn't even know how work from home works. They had to call an emergency
Exactly.
meeting, and in that meeting I just opened Microsoft Office and I showed them, this is how you work from home. Right, this is it.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. Like, people are not used to it. People are very, it's very difficult. He just said he
No,
received.
and I mean, yeah, I mean, ICI. The funny thing is that it took the upside down route of how corporate culture evolves in Pakistan. It went from being this very nice multinational company to this Setia company, and, and of course, I mean, because these people, because the problem is the affairs of these companies, they're run by brilliant but very traditional conservative people who are also not very well educated and not very tech savvy,
Yeah, not tech
and
savvy.
that
I
is
think
the case with
that's
ICI.
the yeah, that's the word I think is better to focus on. It's tech savvy, right? Our population is not tech savvy, and to work from home you need to understand certain basics of technology, how Zoom works, and like a lot of startups. I have friends who are working in startups or small marketing agencies. They're all working from home. Zoom, I see a picture of Zoom with like 50 screens, small screens, or 30 small screens, and I'm like, how the hell are you guys even working? What kind of
This
conference this
is like
is?
Arnab Goswami's show.
Exactly. You know,
If
it's
anyone doesn't know who's listening, Arnab Goswami, just please go to Google, go to YouTube and watch an entirety of one of his shows. Please do that. It is the best entertainment in the world, but don't watch too many of his episodes. You'll get high blood pressure. Please do watch it. It's the best thing in the world.
but yeah, I feel like Daniel, you're taking this really well. You are managing your time. I feel like mental health is really important at this time and age, right? And
Yeah, because yeah, I have struggles with mental health, so I've been like, okay, I need to maintain a routine, definitely, and it's good that I have work. So I work the same hours as my boss, and
yeah,
she's like a working mom, so she's like, okay, during the day, I mean, her hours vary, so her son wakes up at 10 or something. So
yeah,
in the early in the morning, she's working a little for a few hours, then she's taking her husband there with both managing it. So
yeah.
so it's good that I have her, so she wakes up really early. She starts working at 8:30. I start working at 8:30. So yeah, that I'm glad, because if she wasn't there, I feel that I would still be like, okay, I'll just start working 1 hour late and then 1 hour later, and
Yeah, yeah, it happens. I think James Clear is one of those really famous habit instructors, right? He has his book called Atomic Habits, and he just sent out a really good newsletter. I follow his newsletters, and he said, "Okay, this is the perfect time to showcase why you've made those habits, right? Whatever happens around you, do not change your habits. Wake up at the same time, do what you do normally. Instead of going to work, you're just going to change your workstation. You're going to go
yeah,
outside into your living room. You're going to sit on a table, but it's all going to be the same thing." He
yeah,
said that's habits ground you. Habits are going to make you not lose your mind
yeah,
right now if you continue the way you do. If you're not
yeah,
continuing the way you do, you're going to get screwed. And that happens with me on the weekends now, because in the weekends I have no routine. Monday to Friday I have a really strong routine which I keep running,
yeah,
meditation and everything. But in the weekend I'm a little bit European. I'm like, I let loose. Let's see how the plans come, spontaneity and
yeah,
everything. But now
yeah,
there's no spontaneity. You just have to stay home, right? So
yeah.
I stay home. I slept around 10. I woke up at around 1 p.m. in the next day, slept for so many hours, and I just felt miserable. I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
what
it's
is
not
this?
good.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel good. But because there are no plans and there's no job, so there is no
Yeah.
routine for me to actually follow. And it's been difficult. So this thing has been really keeping me straight.
Yeah, and also I haven't read anything about it, but this is a feeling I have that staying awake during daylight is better. Like
Yeah.
at night, if we do the same things, I feel weird,
Yeah, I think
like
that's university life, right? That's like when we were young, we had to pull all nighters. I don't remember the last time I pulled an all nighter, man. It's been, I think, years since I pulled. And I started my university back then, right? Even then, I could not be able to, because I worked 1.5 years in Pakistan. I was through all of that, working late, all nighters. Late, though it's normal in Pakistan, right? I've worked till 1 a.m. But all nighters are not something common anymore. And even in university times, I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore.
yeah.
It's not possible for me. And
Mhm.
I think it's really healthy to keep it that way. You're still studying. And I would suggest that any essays that you have to work on, you work them on in normal time and don't do any all nighters with them.
Yeah, no, I can't do all-nighters. I'm incapable. I just, I'm one of those people who are like at 12:30, I'll be like, I'll take a 20-minute nap and I wake up at 9 in the morning. Like, so
Oh, I've
I
been.
don't, I don't even think about, working on at night. So I'm like, get it
That's
done
good.
by.
That's good. Well, Daniel, it was amazing talking to you. Heard you were telling me that you see a lot of shows. Obviously, entertainment is precious these days, right now. And
Yeah.
if any of the listeners who would want any suggestions, anything that you're watching, you might want to recommend.
So yeah, something I'm watching. It's sort of a documentary series about a lot of corporate frauds and con men. It's called Dirty Money on Netflix. It's really good, and it has episodes about these big banks and big pharma. And I just watched the Donald Trump episode. So it's really fascinating how these frauds unfold. And the common theme among all of them is the lack of punitive action in
Yeah,
most of these cases. So
yeah,
it's fascinating how the system works and how it has stacked. The odds are stacked in favor of the powerful and the rich. It's really
yeah,
it makes you angry,
definitely.
but it's important to know. I feel
Yeah, definitely. I think that's wonderful. Anything else that you're listening to, podcast, you're reading, anything else you've going on?
reading. Oh, I've been reading very boring financial books for my master's thesis. So
Well, I've been trying to
actually,
restart
I
my
would I
reading.
would recommend something. Actually, because the markets are crashing, something I would recommend is a book called "Fooled by Randomness" by Nassim Talib.
I
Uh,
have that book on my nightstand. It's the book that I always want to get to, but it's a little bit complicated for me to digest in one
yeah,
go. I still haven't
yeah.
finished it.
Yeah, but I think everyone should read it regardless of how interested you are in the in even investing or something, because it really it's not very technical. It's very anecdotal, so it's fun to read, and it really tells you the mistakes that everyone makes in, for example, a bull market when everything looks fine. So it has some life lessons for you, even if you contextualize them in your normal life and you just take the lessons not only from the market but just your regular life.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
that,
a fascinating book. All of his books are really good, but this is like the easiest one, I feel.
oh,
So
that's
it's nice.
nice.
Yeah, and
Great.
I just finished reading it again. It was really good.
Oh, that's great to hear. Well, thank you, Daniel. I hope you have
Alright.
a good quarantine time here, and don't lose your mental health. Please be careful with that.
Yeah,
And
I will in a couple of weeks. It's inevitable. We'll all start going crazy in a couple of weeks.
it is inevitable because I remember, just to add one final note to this, there is a research by there was research done by some scientists of comparing work from home with office work, right? And they
Mhm.
said that the study found that most employees felt more productive at home than they did at the office. So they said that remote working should be the answer to everything, but they said no, the problem is time. So whenever you
Mm.
work from home, you're really productive and everything. But if you work from home for a longer period of time, they said the period that they were looking at for them, the crash period was 3 weeks. They said after
Mm.
3 weeks, the lack of social contact and the lack of everything else really gets to
Mm.
the person's productivity, because
Yeah,
innovation comes through disruption, right? So when you're at
yeah,
the water cooler, you're discussing, when you're at the lunch table, you're discussing all of that random stuff. That's the key to innovation. So they
yeah.
said the best thing is to mix it up a little bit. So I'm really happy that we're still
Beautiful.
3 weeks, in the 3 week period. Maybe the lockdown ends there, because it's gonna get really difficult after that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't. I'm not looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you so much for
Thank you for having.
taking time, and thank you all for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I did, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye bye.